We've got a brand new Avengers Endgame trailer with a bunch of new footage, and you know I have been all over this thing breaking down every little detail. Stay up to date about the nerdy things that you care about. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Today's shout out goes to Steven Torres. Yes, indeed, Charles Xavier is the father of the main character on Legion. We'll do another nerd card question at the end of this video. Happy Thursday, nerds, and what a crazy Thursday it is. I was not expecting Marvel to drop this trailer like this, and I didn't really see a lot of other people reporting on this either. And this technically dropped before the Empire and the Entertainment Weekly pieces that are going to be running in those magazines, so Marvel's just setting all sorts of new precedents for how they're doing this marketing. Basically just throwing people like me completely off. I had a couple of meetings. I'm sorry that I missed those meetings this morning. All right, so let's jump right into it, break down what we saw, and then I'm gonna sort of piece a few things together for you guys. It's some really cool stuff. I think you're gonna dig it. First off, the trailer starts with some very nostalgic shots of Iron Man and a voiceover of him, I think basically talking to Pepper, talking about his journey. It seems like 1,000 years ago. Then he realized that he loved her. He knows that he promised her no more surprises, but he was really hoping to pull one last surprise off. Then we get a Peggy Carter voiceover with shots of Captain America and some Ronin shots. Now this right here could be Kate Bishop or his daughter. Either way, it looks like he's training a young archer. I think it's actually gonna be his daughter. I think this is gonna be a flashback of what happened during the snap. Get some Thor shots with a voiceover of him talking about watching all of these different people die. And if you notice here, the main point that they're driving across is that all of these main Avengers, the 6 main Avengers, have a lot of people that they care about. They have family, they have friends, and man, it's for those people that they're going to be fighting super hard in Avengers Endgame. You get the shot of Cap saying that he keeps telling everybody they should move on, but not them, right? And then what's really interesting in this shot is Natasha's hair. And trust me, we're gonna talk so much about Natasha's hair and other people's hair in this trailer, but it actually paints a pretty clear picture at this point of what kind of a timeline we're looking at in this film. We then get this shot of Ant-Man. This looks to be in San Francisco when he comes back from the quantum realm, and you can see that there's a passing of time. There's a bunch of people missing. I mean, look, you don't put up this many missing posters like the day the snap happened. So I believe that Ant-Man's gonna sort of come back to our time, maybe even a couple of weeks after the snap has occurred. But yeah, he's probably not lost in time like we may have speculated from some of the early trailers. We then get this cool shot of a Quinjet coming into New York at night, and then we get the shot of Natalie and Ronin, and I really think this is after she went to go recruit Clint. However, I do not think this is the first time that the Avengers try to recruit Clint. During this sequence, Natalie is talking about how we owe this to all of the people that are not here in this room. If there's even some kind of a chance, we've got to try. We then get some really cool shots of Ronin fighting. This looks to be in some kind of a subway. Now, what's really important here is to note that on his left wrist, we can see what looks like a quantum band. It's all lit up. Whatever that denotes, it's going down in this scene. We then get a shot of Rocket and War Machine. They both look to be in new armor. You got the classic comic book look for Rocket, and you got this much bulkier suit for War Machine. Then there's this sequence of shots right here with Cap and Clint Barton. This really looks like it is the first time that Ronin is attempted to be recruited to whatever plan the Avengers have. This is literally Captain America going there probably pretty soon after the snap, and this is at Ronin's house. Again, I'll explain more of that in just a second. Then we have this shot, and it looks like Ant-Man is at his own house in San Francisco, or maybe the house of his daughter. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be pretty tragic here. He's going to find out that his daughter is gone. You have this shot of Nebula fighting somebody, charging somebody after like a ship crash or something. It looks to be somewhere where a ship went down. You have more Ronin shots on the subway fighting with the quantum band. We get this familiar shot at this point of Natalie training in the Avengers facility. You get Cap in his new armor fighting in what looks to be the very same scene that Nebula is charging that person. Then we get this shot of Ant-Man shrunken down, moving in an action piece. And it's really hard to place this, but it seems to take place in the same sequence with the Nebula charging shot and Captain America, brutally putting back his shield. Then we get the money shot, all of them walking in their quantum suits. You first see Cap and Nebula, then you see Ant-Man and Ronin, then you see War Machine and Ronin, and then you see Tony and Natalie. Now, I think it's really important to note here, Natalie completely red in the hair right here, and Tony's hair looks to be longer and a little bit grayed out, very similar to the shots we got in the leaked set photos from back in the day. Okay, so what does all of this mean? Well, I think first of all, obviously you can't trust toy leaks, and these quantum suits are probably not in the film. Right, Russo brothers? I mean, these guys are like such liars that at this point I'm starting to think back to things they said even a year ago, and I'm like, yeah, but For real though? No, but in all seriousness, let me lay out what I took away from this trailer. And here's the thing, this potentially could spoil a few things in the film for you. I could be completely wrong here, but I actually have a really good track record with like looking at trailers like this and, you know, basing them off of the information that we already know and kind of formulating what I think is gonna go down. So be warned, possible spoilers here, but here's what I gleaned from this trailer. Let's start at the very end. We get this shot right here with Brie Larson and Thor face to face. This is directly from the footage that was explained to us from those shareholders, and this takes place right after the post-credit scene of Captain Marvel, and so this is very early on after the snap. Then let's jump back to this shot, and like I said before, I really think this is Captain America going to Clint Barton's farm and trying to recruit him to help, and at this point, I think that Clint rejects him. First note that Clint Barton is obviously not in his Ronin outfit. He has a mohawk here. Now, interestingly, when we see him later on in the film, while he's Ronin, he's actually not sporting a mohawk, but he's sporting a very similar hairstyle where the sides of his head are still shaved, but he has a lot more hair all over the top of his head. I mean, you can see this pretty clearly in the Ronin action shots. I mean, it's just a way different haircut than what he has with the mohawk in this shot. Now, I want to talk about this shot right here that we've seen a lot. This is Natalie sort of training. And then when you look at the shot where Cap is saying, I keep telling people that they should move on, Natalie's hair has a lot of red grown into it, and you can see the blonde at the bottom. That blonde was, you know, obviously all the way up top in Infinity War, and it grows out. This is a very long passing of time. I've had some people reach out to me and say this is at least 8 months, possibly even a year in time passing. So here's what I think is going on here. I think that Tony and Nebula and Captain Marvel all show up at the Avengers facility pretty soon after the snap. Now, we know from the description of the footage that was shown to the shareholders, they are arguing. They are not 100% sure on how to handle this. There's a lot of blame being passed around. You know, there's obviously a lot of drama, and what I think happens is they cannot come up with a concise plan of action at that point, and not everybody is on board to go fight Thanos. I also think that Tony is not in this scene where they're arguing, and he goes directly to his house and talks to Pepper, and also starts right away on building and trying to figure out a solution. It could even be that when he says he's trying to do one last surprise, this is kind of him saying to Pepper, like, hey, I gotta try one last thing here. I think at this point, they start to formulate a plan, and Cap tries to recruit some people, including Ronin or Hawkeye at this point. He goes there, these are where these shots are from. Clint Barton kind of asks him, you know, what's the plan? And Clint says, nah, I'm not into it. We're not gonna win anyways. I'm gonna go my own way. While all of this is going down, I believe that Ant-Man comes out of the quantum realm perhaps a couple of weeks after the snap has occurred. He, you know, goes around, sees what's happening, gets in the van that he comes out, you know, from, and literally takes the quantum tunnel and the van all the way across the country to upstate New York, where the Avengers facility is at. Then I think there's a long passing of time, perhaps even like a black screen 1 year later, or a montage here where the Avengers are formulating their plan. The world is sort of moving on. You could see the support groups, what, you know, like that we saw in the Super Bowl trailer. Maybe that starts to become a thing. Up to a year maybe even passes as they are trying to figure out what to do. Now, during this time, there could be a lot of different things going on. Some of the Avengers could go into space. Now, we've heard that Thor and Captain Marvel might go around trying to recruit people to formulate this army. So maybe that's going down. All the while, maybe Tony Stark is working on this nanotech and the quantum suits, and perhaps even looking at some stuff that Ant-Man gives him with the quantum tunnel to formulate a plan. In either case, there's a long passing of time, and then Natalie, now after a long time, goes to recruit Clint Barton while he's in Japan being Ronin, just fighting people and killing people. And she's like, yo, we actually have a plan. We really do need you. And then she convinces him to come back to the Avengers facility, where they will then suit up in these quantum suits and then figure out their plan going into the quantum realm. This trailer really convinces me that these suits are for the quantum realm and that they were invented by Tony Stark. I think they're a combination of the nanotech and some stuff that he gets from the PIM technology that Ant-Man brings to him earlier on in the movie. I also think that these suits are CGI. I mean, they just look a little bit off on some of the people. And I think that the dots that were on all of the Avengers while we were checking out the set photos might be for mapping. Maybe they literally come out of the wristbands and they sort of go all over people, just like a nano suit like Tony's in Infinity War. And on a side note, I believe that the reason Ant-Man is given one of these suits as well is because, remember, Hank Pym says if you do too much of the Ant-Man stuff, or if you're in the quantum realm, it can literally affect you. I mean, Janet Van Dyne gets kind of weird new powers from it. Hank Pym is sort of dying from it, I believe, in the Ant-Man movie they explain. And so perhaps even the Ant-Man suit, the Hank Pym Ant-Man suit, does not truly protect people from what's going on in the quantum realm, and therefore Tony arms him as well with one of these quantum suits. Now, I can't really place where these action sequences are happening in, but I am damn sure that this is Captain America's new armor, the one with the scales, the one that's probably made by Tony Stark as well. And so you can assume that that would be actually much later in the film. And so that's it, guys. That's my breakdown of what I gleaned from this trailer. I really think we're seeing three very distinct time periods here, and I think there's gonna be a long passing of time and a formulating of a plan before they go do anything to go after Thanos. However, there is an outside chance that this plan gets thwarted and that Thanos, from either the future, the past, or the present, and I know this is getting really weird, but Thanos could potentially come to the Avengers facility and try to stop them, and they could have a fight with him. They could also all go into space, and this action sequence with Nebula coming out of the wreckage and going to charge someone could be from the description where they all go to Titan 2 to try to fight Thanos, and perhaps they would even fail early on in the movie and then go back to Earth and formulate a different plan. I'm sure there's some stuff I missed. I'm sure you have some thoughts as well. That's why we gotta do another fan chat live today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing another fan chat live where we're gonna talk about all the things that were in this trailer and speculate about what's happening in Avengers Endgame. Come on by with the fan chat. They're super fun. Bring your questions and we'll just talk just among us nerds about all this craziness, man. The hype is so real. Now let's check the nerd cards on the way out of here. I want to know, what are the name of the two writers that wrote Infinity War and Endgame? I've name dropped them several times in my coverage, but the question remains, who are the two writers of Infinity War and Endgame? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.